Today I'd like to give you a high-level overview and orientation on the general structure of Cerner Millennium. I'm just going to show to you the many pieces and parts of Cerner, so it's a little bit easier to navigate the system. I'll start first by logging in. When you first boot the system and log in, you'll always be faced with the Message Center, which will give you several options here in the left-hand pane. Results FYI, your orders to sign, your documents that need signatures, and messages. You'll see that in Cerner you have your typical file bar that you find in basically any Windows system, including a link to UpToDate. And then the second bar will be links to the many different pieces and parts of Cerner, including the Message Center. This is where you'll get to the patient list, physician handoff tool, which is an optional tool, dynamic work list is another type of work list where you can create different lists based on parameters. Quality measure summary. My experience. And eCoach, which is a system of training videos. It's a little more involved, in depth, provided by Cerner directly. So you can go in here and actually view videos. The main things you'll find yourself using are the Message Center, the patient list. You may or may not find the physician handoff tool helpful. And then, of course, the search window for searching an individual patient chart. Now let's go into a test patient so we can get a general idea of how the chart is structured. I mentioned in an earlier video that a quick and easy way to search is to put the first 3 letters of the last name, comma, and then the first 3 letters of the first name. I could select the patient I want, followed by the encounter I want. Double click. Now I'm in the patient's chart. Now, looking at the general structure, you'll see that the patient's name, which you can click on basically any of these things. The allergies, click on that. Brings up an allergy window where I can even add more allergies if I wanted to, but I'm not. Patient's date of birth, age, resuscitation status, weight, financial identification number, which is the encounter number for this visit, Click on that. It brings up different options. Medical record number, current location, and the attending physician. Looking in the structure up here is the search bar, which also gives you access to recent patients. In the header here, it says that we're looking at the internal medicine view or hospitalist view. That's going to be a primary care view, but depending on your specialty, it will be geared toward your discipline. The home button, and keep in mind the home button will always get you to the view that you need, to your workflow M page. This is called M pages. An M page is designed to look and feel like a web page with tabs at the top. A shopping cart, so when you place orders from the M page. This here is actually from the part of the physician handoff tool. So you see it if you've got a patient, you're on call. You're going to, let's say you're signing out your patients, it would be good to indicate a severity here. Chart search. So a workflow page, this entire page is the workflow M page, and the order on this left-hand pane lets you quickly jump into the components here in this right-hand pane. I can jump through this very quickly. You'll notice that the areas in which you can add text, either through dictation, typing, or what they call auto text, are farther down this page because it's designed for you to review the information first, starting at the top, including any documents, problem list, vital signs, home medications, imaging, labs. It's all designed so you can review as you go. Keep in mind too that as you're reviewing, you can tag your text. So I clicked on that CT. Now there's no CT report in this test patient, but if I wanted to, let's say this was the report, I can highlight it, release the mouse, and click tag, and that will be available later on when I create a note in the what's called dynamic documentation generator down here at create a note. Now if I'm over in this pane here and I can use my scroll wheel to just scroll through the workflow. Or I can just grab my scroll bar and continue scrolling down. You'll notice this button here that says menu. I hold the mouse over the menu button and it brings up this menu. Now if you've worked in an older Cerner facility, let's say Wesley down near Hattiesburg, they do not use the M pages. They have an older version that uses this menu, and there was less structure in this version of Cerner. One thing you'll notice that's staying within our M page view is that when you go to various components where you want to leave the M page and go into a more detailed view, let's say for problem list, I click on problem list. and I'm brought to an older screen, or I shouldn't say an older screen, but a more detailed screen, those are available in this menu bar, which incidentally, if I like this view better, I can click this button here and auto hide it or make it or pin it. There's a pin there. Now I can go to problem list directly, or I can go straight to the documentations window, or I can go straight to the view, the workflow in-page view. I prefer to unpin it and get it out of the way and use all the real estate. After you've reviewed and made changes or created orders in your workflow, at the very bottom is how you can create a note. In this particular workflow, the 3 most common notes are available for immediate use, or if you want to select another type of specific note, you can say select other note, which will bring up a couple more choices than you otherwise would have. Notice that most of the items in the workflow are usable in terms of you can click on basically anything and do something with it. Or you can go into different areas and add. One thing I have noticed in this in-page view is that the search windows are far more useful than those in some of the more detailed views. An example I'll give you is the orders window. If I go to my orders detail window, I can click here, multiple ways to get to it. And then I click add, start searching. I can also hit enter and bring it down here. But let's go back to my workflow. I can either click on the home icon, bring it back up, or I can go over here and click on internal medicine view. Let's say I'd rather do it here in this window and stay in the in-page. You'll see here it puts it in a shopping cart view, whereas in this view, I don't have that. But either way you do it, they're all a bit slightly different. And I'm going to create another video very soon here, which gives you all the different components. You'll notice here that there's a tab for inpatient summary. Once again, basically everything that is available in this workflow is available in this inpatient summary. It's just more compact and concise. And just like with that other window, you can add orders in here. I like to think of this as a useful window to use if you're covering for a patient and you're not familiar with that patient. Very quick way to get familiar. If you're more interested in just looking for a couple things, 2 or 3 things, rather than scrolling through the entire workflow. The quick orders page is an alternative way to do orders where the order sentence, so to speak, that you have a dose that's already created that you just want to order in a couple of clicks instead of choosing details. So if an order is available here, it's very quick to order. And there's a discharge pane, which has a workflow that's a little different that helps you create a discharge summary. Discharge orders much easier. Calculators. And yours may be different depending on your specialty, since these are tailored toward the discipline that you practice. Just remember, the home icon will always take you back. And one thing that and I press home, but we are in the workflow, so I have to go back to the tab here, workflow tab. This button right here is very important. It's the refresh button. This, if I have not saved something, I may lose the changes, but if I add something, if I add a problem or I add a document, it may not appear here. Let's say I came down here and created a progress note, and I'm just going to basically do this rather quickly and just type it. I'll just type it. So I just created this progress note. I signed it. Now I'm back. There's a problem though. I don't see this progress note. It's currently 12:31 and it's not available in my workflow. That's because I have not refreshed. So I refresh. And there we are. There's your progress note. I can click on that and review my progress note. I can open this progress note into another window. So if I have a dual monitor computer, I can move this off to that monitor. Very handy if you've got an H&P and you're trying to follow along with what's going on with the consult. You can move that to the right-hand pane and keep it all there in front of you. That's just a general overview and structure of Cerner Power Chart. We'll be diving into the separate components in more videos. We already have a video up on the patient list. Thanks.